Welcome to the Asclepion. I'm Kevin McKeag.
And I'm Luke Strom.
Our podcast dives into the deep questions of life. How do we find love, discover our true selves, and live out our dreams in this wild, weird world? We're going to take you on a journey of philosophical inquiry, spiritual adventure.
Okay. Just imagine you're like sitting around a campfire with the homies and you all start opening up and talking about real shit. That's pretty much what we're going to do here.
Yeah, or it's what I said.
Okay, look, all you need to know is that we have no idea what we're doing.
Welcome
to the Asclepion.
Asclepion.
That's what I said.
Hey everyone, it's Kevin. Today I interview Guy Guri. Guy is a skilled and seasoned life coach based out of Boulder, Colorado. We discuss the transformative blueprints that pull men out of the passive and into the arena of their lives. How to shift your mindset from spectator to participant. Powerful frameworks like internal family systems and the concept of the momentum loop, and much more. You'll learn how to craft the right challenges that stretch your capacities, how to confront internal obstacles like limiting beliefs, and the secret to loving all your parts, even the fearful and resistant ones, for greater harmony and coherence in your life. Hope you enjoy, everybody. So tell us about your latest project.
Yeah, my latest project is a book called Enter the Arena. And it's a book designed for men who feel like they're living their life on the sidelines, who are like watching other people live their life, who know that they have more of themselves to give and currently aren't doing it for whatever reason, right? So this is like a how-to, a guide, a manual to get a man who's living that life, feeling like they're on the sidelines, into the arena of their actual life.
Yeah. And this comes from a Teddy Roosevelt quote. Is that correct?
Well, that inspired like that.
Inspired.
So I've created this whole coaching model, this philosophy, and I didn't quite know how to package it. Like I had different games, different ways of describing it, but nothing quite fit. And then I was reminded of a quote by Teddy Roosevelt called "Man in the Arena." And so I was actually watching this video with my brother on public speaking, and this guy read the quote, and then I looked over and I'm like, I bought that quote. Like I have it sitting like in my office, like right now. And that quote, "Man in the Arena," like fucking speaks to me, man. It's like Teddy Roosevelt in that quote talks about, it's like, that's not the critic who counts. It's not the person who points out how like the strong man stumbles, right? Or how the doer of good deeds could have done them better. It's the man who's actually in the arena, who has like sweat and blood and grit, and who like strives for something excellent to make his life fucking excellent. That's kind of like my frame on it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you succeed or not, if you just like, if at least you fucking tried. And that's the essence of what Enter the Arena is about. It's about for the man who is tired of sitting on the sidelines and who wants to actually try and make his life better.
Right, and not for the critics either, right? It's comparably easy to just look at somebody and point out all the ways that they're messing up or, not acting to their full potential without actually having to get any skin in the game. But when you're in the arena, so to speak, let's continue this analogy. You're in it and you point out a couple of really important and helpful strategies for being in life more fully, and one of those is the momentum loop.
That's right.
Could you tell us about the momentum loop?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, love the momentum loop. So to start off, to get into the arena, it's a challenge-based approach towards personal growth, like just making yourself into a better man and also at the same time making your life that much better, more amazing. Right? So it starts with a challenge and you create your own challenge. And then the momentum loop is designed to actually build momentum. So a lot of guys, like when they create a challenge for themselves, they go like ultra warrior mode. It's like, here's the biggest challenge I can create. And they start off really strong. But I find that oftentimes that fails because you can't like sustain the momentum. Like it's too much for us and too much of us gets ignited. And so we ultimately end up like doing it for a while and then they end up not succeeding in that. So the momentum loop is designed to choose the right level of challenge first. Like something you feel like, yeah, I can do that, right? And it's in line with the aim that you set for yourself. So you set a challenge, you go out there and you give yourself a time frame on that, like a week, and you see how you did. And oftentimes, like when I work with clients with the momentum loop, the first week kind of sucks, right? It's like, and I invite them to grade themselves, either a letter grade or like a number scale, 1 through 10. How would you do with this challenge in the first week? And if they do like crappy, great, because you're not competing against your ideal, you're
Right.
competing against your past self. So all you got to do is beat the grade you did the week prior to that. And so, and at the same time, you examine the obstacles. What came up in the way that had me suck at this challenge? Right? What wasn't I anticipating? And then we work with the obstacles, whether it's in an external obstacle, like, setting time boundaries or various things that come up, or it's like an internal obstacle, like a part that comes up in the way. You work with that part, and then you go back in and do it another week and see how you did. And you just keep on with the same challenge until you feel like, all right, yeah, I'm acing that, or I'm getting a solid B in that. Let's see what else I can do. Like you extend the challenge out and you build from there.
I love that. In my own experience, anytime you're getting an A plus for too long, you want to choose like the next challenge. You want to go do something where you can get like a C minus, work your way up again.
Totally. Yeah, that's like
Because
going for a run.
almost like winning too much becomes boring, or it means that you're not challenging yourself in the
Hmm.
right way. I remember this cool diagram of there's two concentric circles, right? And the inside is what's known, and the outside rim is what's unknown. And between the inside and the outside rim, there's a sort of gray area, and that's where the magic happens, right?
Hmm. Yeah, extending that's essentially the gist of the hero's journey in a way too. It's
Right.
like, but you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone.
That's interesting, man. So when you talk about entering the arena, it does feel very heroic, and yet you're not prescribing that somebody challenge themselves in an unreasonable way. So maybe break us down on this sort of optimal challenge, and maybe you could even talk about the hero's journey and how this relates.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So I use the metaphor in the book of the guitar string,
Yes.
right? Like you don't want it too strong, too tight, and you don't want it too loose, right? You want it like right in the middle. Like so you want a challenge that you feel like, yeah, man, I could do that. It's gonna stretch me a little bit, but I could actually succeed in that. Now, when you actually go out there, you'll find out. But in the beginning, you have this sense of like, yeah, I could actually do that, and it's not too challenging, and it's not, but it still stretches me. Like you want that point right in between, that middle point, where it's like that's the sweet spot right there. And there's no like precise formula to get there. It actually you got to feel into it yourself and decide what actually feels like a right level of challenge. And then you'll know after a week how you actually did. So it's like the most important part is actually setting the challenge. And if you find out you set it way too strong, you could always dial it back a little bit, right? So you're finding the right spot, even if it's not after the first week, you can do it after the second week and adjust backwards a little bit. And what the enter the arena, what the manual, in a sense, it's the call to adventure, right? It's for the man who feels like the man who's living their life on the sidelines is living their life in the comfort zone. And I kind of equate it to like it's a red pill, right? It's like a pill and it's red, and you can actually take it and you can use it to transform your life, right? Because if you're living in the sidelines, in a way, you've already decided to take the blue pill. Here's another opportunity. Here's a pill you can take, and this will set you off on an adventure towards something that's actually meaningful for you.
That's beautiful, man. Maybe tell us a little bit about your own journey in choosing the red pill over the blue pill. You explain this a bit more in the book, so people can go and read the manuscript if they want more of your history. But I'm curious, like, what set you on this path, and what made you realize how powerful it was to choose the red and not the blue.
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, growing up in this culture, I think we're conditioned in a way to we're just given a whole bunch of blue pills, right? And if you take the blue pill in a way is moving into the mold of society. You're not actually moving towards something that actually deeply matters to you, right? So I became a pharmacist. I chose my career as a pharmacist when I was in high
Literally
school.
giving out pills.
Literally giving out pills. I didn't quite make that connection. Literally giving out pills. That's right. Right. And why did I choose to be a pharmacist? Like none of my family members were pharmacists. No one pushed me into that career, but I had no idea what I wanted to do in high school. You're given this array, like choose your life direction in high school. And I had no idea who I was, no really deep connection to my values. So I chose something that I thought would be easy, right? Because like not like I was really good at chemistry. So I chose something that was suited to my strengths.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I'm like, how hard could it be a pharmacist, right? You put pills in a bottle and you get a nice paycheck. And not only that, I also like the idea of being a doctor.
Mm,
Years to be a doctor. I don't want to go through med school. I like biology wasn't my thing. And so I wanted the status of being a doctor and I wanted an easy paycheck. And so I chose being a pharmacist. And like the thing was, I was actually right in like a lot of ways. It's like a really easy job. And the school was actually pretty easy for me since I chose a career, it was suited with my strengths.
mm,
So after a couple years of being a pharmacist, I was doing the whole thing, working 42-hour weeks at CVS, and then I started getting into personal growth, right? Another area of my life, not because of pharmacy, but an area of my life around women was like really dissatisfying to me.
mm.
Ended up finding a
How
community.
so? Could you break us down on that? Because this you talk about pain points in the
Yeah.
manuscript being informative, actually. Like
hmm
look at your life and pick an area where there's actually discomfort or pain, and that can be a really good litmus for what you need to work on. So sounds like what drew you to the path was one of these pain points, and maybe break us down on that.
Yeah, yeah, happy to. So I grew up like very uncomfortable being around women, like very awkward, just very socially awkward. I wasn't the cool kid in high school. I was the kid who felt himself like he was uh, on the bottom of the social hierarchy. He was really into women, really attracted to women, but couldn't speak to them, couldn't share my attraction, couldn't approach women. Just felt a lot of fear around that. And even those times when I did find myself like connecting with women, it would never last. And so I wanted a girlfriend, but didn't know how to find a girlfriend, didn't know how to get a girlfriend, didn't know how to talk to the women that I wanted to be my girlfriend. And it created like huge amounts of dissatisfaction. So, I had all these little minor goalposts. Like I thought after I lost my virginity in college, like things would change for me. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be this confident guy. That's like this monkey on my back. And so that happened, and then I was still the same awkward person, right?
Mhm.
Surprise, surprise. And
Right.
then so I moved the goalpost. Like, oh, maybe it's when I graduate from pharmacy school, all right? Because then I'll have money, I'll have the status of being a doctor, be able to buy a car. Women are attracted to that. And a year after graduating pharmacy school, I found myself going to the same college parties, which was pretty sad. There's actually a moment when I was at a college party, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my life? And so I ended up moving to my best friend from college had moved to North Carolina, and I ended up going to visit him. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I can just move to another place, right, where people don't really know me. Because the problem was all the expectations that people had. I was conforming to them. And I found myself like, so I moved to North Carolina thinking that I could be a different person if I moved to a different location. And that ended up obviously not working, right? I found myself at a bookstore I think a month after I moved there, there was this attractive woman standing like in one of the book aisles, and I'm like, inside, I'm like, all right, this is the time. Like this is the time where I can be the next version of myself. And I froze. Like I froze now,
Yeah.
and it was pretty lost and didn't have another goalpost to move towards.
I'm sure many men can relate to that. I mean, I think men tend to rank cold approaches towards attractive women as one of the most terrifying things in life.
Yeah, yeah, that resonates, man. That resonates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually I found like thanks to my brother, my twin brother who was also feeling very awkward around women,
Mm.
he got into this the pickup artist community, and I went to visit him this one time in Virginia, and I remember we were in a mall, we were sitting at a restaurant, and like these two attractive women walked by, we could see him through the window, and he sees them, we both see them, and we're with a friend. He gets up off his chair and he runs outside and starts to like chase them down and approach them, something that he saw in one of his videos. And I was like dumbfounded. I was
Wow.
like, this is my brother. Like, this is like, he's always been more awkward than me. And here he is, like, running down women. And I was just like, wow,
So
he's
this was a bit of a red pill moment for you of realizing that you could change your behavior and change the outcomes you were getting, and that kind of led you into the development.
that's right. That led me down the whole debate. Like, I found, like, oh, I'm not actually broken. I can actually learn a skill. Like, he's actually changing himself, and I can do the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Down
the
the rabbit
rabbit
hole.
hole, man. That was the rabbit
Down the
hole.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. Okay, another thing you talk about is the foundational versus the leadership goals. Is that how you phrase it?
Direct challenge versus foundational
Thank
challenges.
you. Direct challenge, yeah, versus
Yes.
foundational challenge. Run us down.
Yeah. So again, it starts to get into the arena, you need something to aim for, something that actually matters to you. Right. So sometimes we have this, like we can have like a vision of our life a year from now. Like I love the future self concept. Like I love having my clients imagine where their future self is a year from now. Like if you heard news about yourself, like 1 year from today, what would light you up? What would have you feel excited? And so you choose an aim based off that. It's like an objective aim. It's like, what would I want my future self to have a year from now that would light me up? And that becomes your aim. And it doesn't have to be something, it could be measurable too. It's like it could be like a status of your relationship. Like my relationship's a 3 right now. Fucking love it to be an 8, like a or a 9. Like what would it
Right.
take? And then you make that your aim, and the challenge is inherent in the aim. It's setting up your future self with that kind of reality. Like that's the goal. So that's that in a way that creates like a direct challenge. What actual concrete steps can you take to to make it from a 3 to an 8, right? To manifest that reality. But at the same time, I find that it's like we can create these challenges. Like let's say like I want a partner, right? I want to have a relationship. I want to have a partnership. But we could be in a place where our self foundation is really weak. Like, even if we got the thing that we think we wanted, we couldn't actually fucking hold it. We're not actually capable of holding that level of responsibility. And so there's alongside direct challenges, there's these foundational challenges where you use your life circumstances to build yourself up, to build your foundation, to have you feel more connected rather than less connected to yourself. And so the way there's like a couple of different kinds of behaviors we can do that either weaken our foundation or build our foundation. For instance,
Yeah.
addictive
Yeah. What
pattern.
are they?
Yeah. Like addictive patterning, all
Addiction. Yep.
self-losing patterns. And we all have these things in our life, like these distractions that actually move us away from our goal and have us feel less connected to ourselves versus these things that we can do that actually strengthen ourselves, like taking care of our bodies, taking care of our health, meditation practices, journaling practices, going on walks in nature, things like that actually strengthen our connection to ourselves. And so I put these things, sometimes we actually need these things before we take direct challenges, where we engage in the direct challenge. It's like if, for instance, I'll go back to the partner exercise. If you want a partner, there may be a lot of foundational stuff in your life that need to be shored up, right? There may be ways in which you're like engaged in addictive patterning that you want to clean up. That have you be less attracted, have a partner be less attracted to you, things like that. So they're very much in line with your overall aim, but it actually helps build the base so you can actually stand on it.
Right. Yeah. As you were speaking, I got the sense of, if you have a faulty launch pad and
Mhm.
you build a really cool map of where you want the rocket to go, when the rocket ignites, the whole thing's just going to collapse. Versus if you get that foundation in order, then your goals, you're actually going to have a chance at hitting the goals that you set your sights on.
That's
Sounds
right.
like that analogy might loosely work here.
I have a client who he had a goal of he needed a job. He's been out of the workforce for 3 years, and his partner was, like, carrying all the weight, and she was done
Wow.
carrying all the weight. So this was creating a lot of strain in their relationship as well.
Yeah.
And when we talked about getting a job, all of these fears began to surface of not finding the right job, being in a relationship with the boss who tells him what to do. And so we needed to do some foundational work there. We needed to do some work in order to like shore that up in order so that he could actually feel confident and capable before he started taking the first actual step of like creating a new resume.
What were some of the foundational goals that you guys came to? Like, what were some of the things in his state at the time that you needed to actually shore up? I'm really curious about that.
Well, so to start with, his number one goal was creating balance, like moving his relationship status up. And then the job thing came up as a way of like, yeah, we needed to shore that up in order to help the relationship. So that was a thing. That was like not even a direct goal. We could say that was a foundational goal. And when we came up, like, what's stopping you from getting in the way? So you create a plan. Here are the steps you can take. And he's like, and he wasn't doing it. Like he wasn't succeeding at actually taking the steps. So we had to go a little backwards and see what was actually underneath the surface and found that there's this huge amount of fear that was happening, parts coming up that were afraid of actually having a better life, parts of himself that were limiting a limiting belief that told him that he wasn't worthy, right, of having this kind of success in his life. And so meet something like that, and luckily for me, I have like a little tool bag, that got
Yeah.
some neurolinguistic programming, some IFS,
Yep.
and we helped work with the limiting stuff that was coming up along the way. And that's actually kind of the point of the whole challenge process. It's like to elicit those kind of obstacles, those kind of internal obstacles, those beliefs that don't resonate with truth.
Mm.
And you create a new belief, or you connect with another belief that's actually more resonant, more true to yourself.
Mm.
That
Mm.
builds your foundation.
All right, we have another Asclepion health tip of the day. No one likes feeling down in the dumps. No one likes feeling like a nervous Nelly. Sometimes all you need is just a good chuckle. One surefire way to do this is to take hold of the flab of fat over your stomach and turn your belly button into a mouth, and you make it say really funny stuff. Best part about this is it's free, and you can do it whenever you want. On an airplane, in the middle of a work meeting, right before making your wedding vows. I like to call my belly button Flabby McFlab. Seriously, if this doesn't make you laugh, and there's something seriously wrong with you, you should probably go see a doctor.
You talked about the hero's journey earlier. Campbell writes about how the the hero's arc is the going out and the returning and the undertaking of challenges whereby the hero himself or herself is transformed through the challenge, right? And it sounds like what you're talking about, there might be a bit of the hero's journey and the foundational versus direction goals where it's not just you know, hitting a benchmark in life. It's actually engaging something that actually changes you and transforms you in the
That's right.
undertaking of the goal. maybe permanently so.
That's right.
And you talked about your tool bag. I love that image. You want to talk about NLP or IFS?
Hmm.
Your choice. Give
All
it.
right. Both are a great tool, offer a lot of tools. Let's talk about IFS.
Right.
Because IFS offers internal family systems work for those who don't know. It offers a framework, a map of our consciousness, of the way we experience reality that I find to be extraordinarily helpful. Right. So the IFS postulates that we're not just one unitary aspect. We're not just one unitary being. We're actually a system that's organized around yourself, right? The self is the aspect of you that's like you feel when you feel centered and calm and non-reactive. You feel naturally curious. That's a huge aspect, and caring towards yourself and other people. And so in IFS, you use the self to go into your internal world and meet your parts, the parts of you that are maybe aggressive or domineering or controlling or critical, but also the parts of you that those other parts are protecting, which are your vulnerable younger parts. And you go into your system, which oftentimes is in a state of chaos, and you get to bring order towards your system and align your system towards a vision that you have for the future, which is maybe healing, which may be more integration, more wholeness. Right now, I use that framework, that internal, that aspect of the self in IFS, and I essentially just extend it out into the world because the self is your natural place of leadership. Like, so you can lead your internal system, but you can also lead your system out into the world.
Mm.
And so the more you develop that capacity to be in yourself in the world, the more access to self-leadership you have, the more connected you are to your actual values, right? Because yourself, you're going to lead yourself. Where are you going to lead yourself, right? You can lead yourself towards something you don't value, actually, or you
Right.
want to
Off a
lead
cliff
yourself towards something that
into a
actually
ditch.
matters to you. Yes.
Right, right, absolutely. I love that, man. Yeah, IFS is such an elegant system, and I've heard it aptly named, the symphony of self, all
Hmm.
these different voices acting in concert. You might imagine, if you're unfamiliar with it, that okay, you discover this internal rabble, and it's a bunch of dissonant voices all yelling, and there's incoherence, right?
That's
But you're
right.
talking about actually getting everybody in order and singing in harmony and in a
That's
way
right.
leading this entire self process,
That's
which
right.
seems just much more harmonious, coherent.
As opposed to like meeting your resistant parts and then white knuckling through it, or like trying to bulldoze your parts, you actually enroll your parts, you get them in line and you move with them rather than having to drag your parts behind you kicking and screaming, right? Because that can backfire. I mean, sometimes you need to go and do your shit, and bring your parts with you, even if they're kicking and screaming. But at the same time, it's like you do that consciously, right? You organize, you listen to your parts, you listen to your resistance, rather than again trying to bulldoze your way through it.
Have you been enriched personally by working with IFS? And yeah, maybe talk about your own process of integration around that and some of your own parts and your own sort of process of inner alchemy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when I found IFS, I found it after studying NLP and getting into my coaching pursuits. And I found it just fit so well into how I understand the world, how I understand myself. Like one of the things I love about IFS is it postulates that we all come with a positive intention. All of our parts like actually love us and are doing the best for us with the tools and the resources that they have, which oftentimes are very limited. You can imagine that your parts are essentially like younger versions of yourself at different ages, experiencing reality in a completely different way. And so for me, like learning about IFS had me connect with myself in a different way. I got to understand myself a little bit. I got to do IFS sessions with coaches. And instead of And it makes a difference, for me, like doing it with a practitioner is actually it's been way more effective for me to connect with my parts than doing it on my own. But even on my own, I'd be able to journal and find out, okay, I've got a lot of resistance coming up here, and actually journal about what resistance is coming up. And oftentimes I'd get like breakthroughs or understand something about myself so I can change my approach. So when it comes to make it more like practical, when it comes to like dating, I had a lot of parts coming in my way. I had a lot of fear, a lot of resistance. And so actually being able to drop in with myself and listen to my fearful parts and to hear them it was allowed me to get a little bit of separation from it, where I wasn't so much. There's a difference of being like having the being in the part and seeing the world through the lens of the part versus being a little separated. And that little separation, that little bit of distance allowed me to actually go forward and pursue what I wanted, right? Being able to hold my part. Um, there's this really cool story that's coming up. So it's about public speaking. So I had this terrible, terrible fear of public speaking, and I pushed myself to do it anyways. And I got up on stage, joined Toastmasters, and I gave some speeches. The most terrifying part was actually the impromptu speaking. You'd go up on stage in front of everyone. They would ask you a question, like a random question. You had to answer that question. And I was like, that was like the most fearful part because I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth. And oftentimes it would be like a lot of fear would come up. And then while the fear was coming up, I would notice the audience start to feel more dysregulated, which would have me feel more dysregulated and get into that spiral. And so the breakthrough came when I did that for Toastmasters for like a year and I quit because it was just getting worse. I was just getting more and more afraid. And so I joined Toastmasters around 4 years later after the pandemic. And the same thing was starting to happen even when I was just thinking about writing my speeches. And so I had this breakthrough where I realized that I actually have a part that's present here. I called him my public speaking fear monster. He was just, and he was like, it was just like so alive. And I realized that I was trying to suppress that part. I was trying to push that part down. And instead of that, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Why don't I just introduce him to the audience instead? And so I gave my first speech back titled, Hello, my name is Guy, meet Gordon, my public speaking fear monster.
Hmm.
And that was the most connected I ever felt to an audience. Like I had never felt connected to an audience being on stage. I'm like, oh, this is actually what it means to be connected. And I loved it. Right? It wasn't terrifying. It actually felt good.
That's a great example of having a part online that is sort of unconsciously controlling the outcomes. And it
Hmm.
sounds like what you did there was rather than try to, like you said, white knuckle it and speak anyway, despite the fear, which there's plenty of merit in that. You actually gave voice to this part, and it ended up being totally transformational for you to do so.
By just acknowledging it. And I remember right before I went on stage, like, because I had notes, I was like trying to do it with notes. And like while I was rehearsing it, I'm like, the notes are just getting in my way. I just threw the notes out. And I told myself right before on stage, hey, this is a movement towards what you value, right? Like, I'm going to love you no matter what happens. I told this to my part before I went on stage.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Beautiful. What's the consequence of loving all these parts? Is that what leadership requires? What's the proper stance or relationship to your inner symphony that creates this renewed direction, this transformation that liberates energy to move towards your goals?
Mm. I'll tell you, man, like there's a
Yeah.
Jason Mraz song, like Love is the Answer. That's the truth, man. Like love, and love isn't like a lot of people think of love as just like feminine love. No, love can be challenging. Love can be direct. Like there's a masculine and a feminine version of that in the right balance. That's what challenge and support actually is.
Mm.
So bringing love to yourself is like, especially for those places in yourself that don't feel love. That's sometimes that's like all that we need. Like we need fucking love inside. And the more love you have, the better. And IFS provides a framework where you can actually start to love yourself and get your own love needs met internally. So you're not like needing to seek it outside. And we want external love is great too. Don't get me wrong. Fucking love being loved externally. But when you need it, when you're desperate for it, you don't get it. It just doesn't work like that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people give voice to this polarity between fear and love, right? And you talk a lot about fear in the manuscript as being the thing that holds one back from achieving really important, desirable goals. And it sounds like what you're saying is the antidote to that is love, is this powerful love, not this wimpy, weak love, but actually this transformative love that allows you to cohere, to integrate.
That's right. That has you feel safe enough to go out there and take risks.
Yeah, yeah.
What if you just knew that you would love yourself regardless of whatever happened afterwards? What would that make possible if you just knew that no matter what happened, you would still love yourself and that connection wouldn't break? That's transformative. That's huge. Going from a place of not knowing that to a place of knowing that creates so much space to take risks.
Right, because there's this fear of failure, right? A lot of us don't even try. It's like the famous Michael Jordan quote, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And we don't
Hmm.
try because we're so afraid. So what you're saying
Yes,
is give yourself a little permission. Tell your parts you're going to be loved no matter what, especially if you go after that.
that's right.
I'm proud of you for going after this thing. I'm proud of you for failing. Fail better, that kind of idea.
That's internal leadership right there. That's self-governance. That's being the leader of your system. That's showing care for your system and your parts. That's being a leader. That's what I mean. That's what it means to be a leader in my book. Holding the direction, holding the vision, but
Yeah.
also leading with care and listening.
Tell us about the importance of challenge and support
Hmm.
in the coaching relationship because you're a powerful coach and in some way this manuscript is kind of a creed for you and
That's right.
the proper relationships one must have in order to succeed but also
Mhm.
to transform. So why
Yeah.
why is this balance between support and challenge so important in
Uh,
the realm of coaching?
Yeah, love the question. I first came across the dynamic of challenge support through the work of John DeMartini, and he's got a lot of amazing tools, like a lot. Like I learned so much from John DeMartini, but he always talked about this. He's like, growth happens with an equal measure of challenge and support, which actually fits along with Bob Keegan. You know, when he wrote his book, Immunity to Change, he talks about this balance of challenge and support as well. And the one way to look at challenge and support is masculine and feminine. You need an equal measure of both. If you're challenging yourself too much masculine energy, then you'll burn out, right? You're not actually going to grow. If you too much support, too much feminine energy, you're going to languish. You're just not going to move. You're not going to grow. You need both of it. Now, the model that I'm proposing is I'd say it's a healthy masculine approach to growth in the sense that it leads with challenge. You set an aim, you create a challenge, and then you bring in support in service of that challenge, of that aim, which is different than a lot of therapeutic models and therapy, as opposed to like the stereotypical approaches. You sit on a couch, you tell therapists about your mother, your family, your relationships, you analyze, you analyze, you analyze. And 10 years later, your life is still exactly the fucking same. Like you're still on the sidelines. You're not actually out of the sidelines. You're just getting so much support. But where's the challenge? You need the challenge for the growth, right? And what I propose is you lead with the challenge. You set that aim towards something you want to build in your life, and then hell, you bring in support, to bring in support to help you create momentum towards that aim.
What's the outcome of adopting this kind of formula? You mentioned Bob Keegan's work, which I love. I love the immunity to change protocol, and it seems like there's something greater than the sum of the parts that happens when you have these in proper proportion. So what's going on there? What happens when we have the proper ratio of challenge and support?
Well, that's your immunity to change, right? It fixes that. It gets you moving. It gets you growing, not just in your external life, like you having more and more of what you want, less and less of what you don't want, which is a definition of thriving that my old coach gave me. So you have more of that, but you also grow as a person. You also become more skilled, better at living life, being able to hold more responsibility, being able to hold more leadership, being a better, more awesome version of yourself. Because who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't want that?
Hell yeah. And again, we're often on some level we know what we want, and then there's all this fear, all this conditioning, as you would say, all these blue pills that we've swallowed. And your book's a call to action to take the red pill, to follow the rabbit hole, to challenge yourself, to thrive. Could you give us that definition of thriving that you just said? I really like that. I want to hear it again.
Yeah, thriving is having more and more of what you want and less of what you don't want.
Very simple. Very simple.
There's a quote in the book, fine is the most dangerous place.
Hmm.
And the reason is it's not the most dangerous place because of what it is more because of what it isn't. Like fine is fine. And it's like average, mediocre. It's like, hey, how's your life? It's fine. But what it's not is it's not exceptional. It's not amazing. It's not like fucking awesome. Like fine isn't any of those things. So the more and more we live in fine, the more and more we're not living in amazing. The more and more we're not living in like I love my fucking life. It's amazing right now. Yeah. And fine is the comfort zone. Fine is the sidelines. It's like you're on the sidelines, you're safe, you're comfortable, but you don't really feel alive.
Yeah. How often do you ask somebody like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And they're like, "I'm on fire right now. I'm failing so good. I'm learning so much. I'm
That's
getting
right.
more and more and more of what I want. I'm getting less and less and less and less of what I don't want. Life is amazing. It's miraculous." You know, I think you know Rob McNamara. He had this habit of saying if you asked him how he was doing, he would go, "I'm awesome." The first time I heard it, I went, wow, I've never heard anyone say that before. And over time, I got it. He was really living from that place of life is awesome. I'm awesome. There's this power in life that I'm connected to. And it's
Mhm.
so not mediocre.
Right. And what creates mediocreness in someone's life? How do we drift there?
Mm,
And we live in a culture, we live in a society that imposes, tells people what to do, tells people what to like. Instagram, Facebook shows you what the ideal life should be, the American dream. Hey, create this life, become a banker, 2.5 kids, work in finance. We lead people towards superficial values of money, of status, of what it means to be successful. And then we follow the script and then we find out we're not happy
mm,
because we sold out our own values, we sold out our own dreams.
mm.
And then they say, take a pill so you don't have to think about that. Right. Well, when we do something like that, when we sell out our own values and dreams because we're just following the script of society, that creates a pain inside. That's the void. That's the pain. When we're not living in alignment with our values, we feel pain. And it's a call to get back in contact with yourself, to actually get into the arena of your life and start pursuing the values, the things that actually fucking matter to you. And when you do that, you get back into the arena. When you start living true to yourself, true to your values, more true to yourself. You don't have to be 100% true. At the start, especially, you may not know what the fuck you want, but you might know
Right.
something you want to be better, right? You just start there.
Well, this leads me to another question about the book. Is it wise to set some massive goal right off the bat? Like, say I want to change. Should I suddenly pick to completely, massively transform my life? What do you suggest?
Hmm. I suggest, well, I mean, like, I suggest choosing one thing.
Right.
Choosing one thing that you want to be like, if you're not completely sure of what you want, choose something, and that needs to be objective, right? Choose something that you want in your life to improve, right? It could be an area of your life that's causing you a lot of pain. Could be your relationships, could be your finances, could be something that, yeah, something that you want that's like a 2 or a 3 out of 10, and you feel that void, you feel that pain, and you want it to be better. Or it could be a work situation. It could be like this, like a work situation that sucks, and you go and you spend 40 hours a week in that. How can this situation go from like a 2 or a 3 to a 7? Create a positive difference in your life. Yeah, start with something like that, or choose a space in your life that you want to make more beautiful, and actually make it more beautiful.
Mm.
That's like Jordan Peterson right there, one right
Yeah,
there.
I
It's just
love that you just said that because of the importance of aesthetic beauty as a motivating factor for us. And as Peterson would say, making your bed, ruling your own roost, right?
yes.
First, and having that ripple outward as sort of order, bringing order to the
And
chaos.
the beauty of that is that that gives you a challenge to do. You meet the challenge, it actually shapes you, and then you extend there. It's like the momentum loop. What's the next challenge? You start small, you start something close, you start with something local, you make your life a little more beautiful, a little more better in that one area, and that gives you the confidence, that gives you the excitement, like, all right, what next? For the man who wants to change the world, right? It's like, yeah, great, long-term vision, change the world, but start with something local. Start with
I
something
love
close to
that.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Start small, right? Start with achievable outcomes that you can ace and then build momentum. And your advice is to assess those upon completion and then iterate, right?
That's
Don't
right.
just keep doing the same thing, but actually look at what you're doing, look at what you've achieved, and then decide, do I want to continue this direction or tack a little bit to the right or to the left or up or down?
What obstacles are coming in my way in relationship to this? You work with those obstacles, work with those parts, those stories that you have,
Mm,
and you transform those, you alchemize those into something beautiful. And voila, you're a different person. One of my first challenges that when I really started playing this game unconsciously, but when I started to play the game of making an area of my life better, I was
mm,
working in the pharmacy. It was after COVID. I had just gone back after like a year and a half off, and it was like fucking crazy. Like, it was crazy. We're short staffed much of the time. It was just nonstop work. I think I was still giving, the pharmacist was still giving all the vaccines back then. So I was giving, on top of the normal work you had to do, you're giving, 30 to 50 vaccines every single day.
mm,
And the stress levels were beyond, like, they were just like, I was coming home from work and just feeling super depleted.
mm.
And then I said, wait a minute. I just taken the John DeMartini course. He had given this distinction between distress and eustress.
For any listeners, it's EUSTRESS, meaning like the happiness causing stress, the stress that you can lean into. So
That's
just a
right.
note on the spelling of that, not YOU stress, but EU stress.
That's right. Yeah. And so eustress, the major difference between eustress is the stress related to a meaningful goal, right? That makes it more positive. And so I started to use the pharmacy as a dojo in terms of how I can learn to regulate, turn more of that distress into eustress. The biggest challenge for me in that, I was a mindfulness practice at first, but the phones ringing off the hook were just like huge levels of stress coming up. And I had to actually rework the story, the framework of how I saw the phones in order to become more like, oh, this is actually in line with my values. The phone ringing is actually a beautiful challenge that the universe is sending me in order to step more into my service for other people, which is what my heart actually cared about.
Yeah.
So once that and seeing that actually changed me. And that's the whole point of it.
Say I set a goal and I start working towards it, and then suddenly things get really hard for me. Is that a good sign that I should give up?
You set a goal, you start working towards it. Yeah, yeah, you just give up. Yeah, just forget
That's great advice.
it. Totally. It's probably not for you. Yeah, I mean, though, you can. You have
Dream
the
uncle.
choice. You can blue pill it. You can blue pill it for a while, or maybe go back into comfort. I wouldn't say give up on it completely. Maybe you just the thing there is like you probably chose a challenge that was too big for you, and you need to scale it down a little bit, or you need to bring in more support. Right? If the challenge is too big, if it's too big for you right now, either you scale it down or you bring in the support needed in order for you to meet it. And that support could be a coach. It could be a therapist. It could be a book, right? A really good book that helps you tackle the exact issue that you're facing right there. Yeah, any number of things. It could be a medicine journey, ayahuasca journey. For
Mm.
real, yeah. Can be very powerful.
I'm struck that, listening to your story, it seems like even from day one, before your purpose and your values were made explicit to you, you were still kind of doing those things in their seed form.
Hmm.
Even, going into pharmacy school and actually giving people medicine. Now you're giving people medicine perhaps of a different form.
Hmm.
And I really like your energy and your angle around this whole thing. And maybe tell us where people can find you and where they can find the manuscript and how they can keep in touch and follow what you're
Hmm.
up to.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so the manuscript will be on Amazon in the near future, but right now,
And what's the name again?
it's called Enter the Arena.
Enter the Arena by Guy Guri.
That's right. Yeah, I would suggest you send me an email for that. Yeah, email the coaching guy g at gmail.com.
Nice.
And I'm happy to connect with you and send you a copy of this book.
Yeah. As we wrap up, tell us about your coaching practice.
Hmm. Yeah, so the coaching practice, I essentially just lead men out of the sidelines and into the arena of their life. So it can be very helpful to have a guide with you. Like you can do it on your own, but you can also do it with someone who's been practicing this in their life and has a quite a bit amount of tools to help, including IFS, NLP, various tools that can help let go of the obstacles that come in your way. So what you have when you have a coach with me is you have accountability, you have someone a weekly check-in where we assess your challenge and how you did and what grade you gave yourself, and then exploring the obstacles that came up along the way. And so you can get the book, you can start operating it by yourself, and that's great. But if you're wanting to go that much quicker, I suggest getting a guide in this and bringing in a resource such as myself to help move you through the process faster and quicker and less questions, more streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Jump in with Guy and pick up the momentum loop and step into the arena, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have a website, Guy? How can people contact you?
So don't have a website at the moment, but the email is the best way to reach out to me. The coaching guy g at gmail.com.
Beautiful. Check it out. Any last words?
Just gonna send some love out there. It's my kiddo's first birthday tomorrow.
Happy
Which,
birthday, Ethan.
thank you. Yeah, he's amazing. He's like I didn't know I could love a little being so fucking much. So we're celebrating his birthday today. And so yeah, sending some love out to my son, who's napping right now.
Well, Guy, you're a light, and I'm so glad that you're putting out this material and that all of your accumulated knowledge and wisdom is the rubber's hitting the road, and you're putting it out to share with all of us, much to our benefit. And Guy, I know you as somebody who really has this decided to get off the sidelines and step into your life and engage as fully as possible. And it's been an honor to interview. you.
Well, yeah, thank you, man. I could say I know the sidelines very fucking well, which is why I can speak to it. And some areas in my life where I have gotten off the fucking sidelines and made my life better. And but I'm not a complete fucking project. Like I'm playing this game, I'm doing this thing just like everyone else at the same
Mm,
time. Right. So like a little bit of humility on my aspect, but man, life just to say, like it's a plug. It's possible. It's possible to get out of the fucking sidelines of your life and to
yeah.
start building what you want. And if you don't do it now, like 10 years might go by and you might be in the exact same place. It's something to think about.
Yeah, you've lived it, brother. My yoga teacher at Naropa University, Nataraja, he used to say, enlightenment is a verb.
Hmm.
I would slightly amend that here and say that self-development is a verb. It's this continuing process, right?
Hmm. Yep. I don't think it ever stops, man. I don't think it ever stops. How amazing is that?
Yeah, just gets more and more and more of what you do want and less and less of what you don't want.
Hmm. In all the areas.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Asclepion. We hope you enjoyed the show and that you feel uplifted, empowered.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and find us on Substack.
Farewell, friends.